This evening, we're going to be talking about dealing with narcissistic in-laws. Mean, vicious, cruel, nasty, narcissistic mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. Now, this message is primarily for those of you who are in an otherwise pretty decent marriage. It seems like everything else is okay, but we're going to talk on that too because your marriage is a big part of the issue. But we are going to focus on, number one, what you're really up against when you are dealing with narcissistic in-laws. It's important to know what you're facing, okay? And number two, we're going to talk about what marriage actually is. It's about time we go back and accept the reality of what marriage is, what it is you signed up for, what you said I do for, what it means, all right? And last but not least, we're going to then talk about what you can start doing and what you should stop doing so that you can move on in your life and enjoy your marriage in a fruitful and productive way, the way in which marriage has been intended to be enjoyed. Let's get into it. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before I do continue with this rich message on dealing with narcissistic in-laws, I do want to let you know that I'm here to support you. For those of you who are married and your marriage is otherwise pretty decent, except for the mess that the in-laws are causing in your life, I do allow calls with both you and your husband, you and your wife, for the price of one. I enjoy talking with married couples to give you the solid, sound advice that your premarital counselors failed to give you, right? Even your post-marital counselors may have failed to give you this information too. I don't know why. Christianity seems to have fallen off the wagon some time ago when it comes to their understanding of what marriage is and what you as a married couple are even up against. So if you need that one-on-one support, schedule it down below. Also, I do have a coaching program. My coaching program is live and in person each and every day. The Royal We coaching program is centered around a community to help each other to move forward in life. Next week, we are doing our monthly fast. So if you're interested in going on a 3-day water fast, which will reset you mentally, emotionally, and physically, then join the Royal We coaching program. Be a part of it. I'd love to see you in class. All right? Now, let's get into this deep, rich topic about marriage. To begin with, what are you up against? What is their problem? Narcissistic in-laws. What is it you're really facing? Now, the reality is you are facing essentially a gang, a cult. Now, since the beginning of time, there has always been a desire, and it is narcissism, by the way, within certain family dynamics to create a gang. It's out of a selfish place of wanting control, unable to let go. This oftentimes is seen within royalty. A lot of royalty is established. Why? Power? Money? Sure. Okay. But it's also to be fruitful and procreate, but to hoard, to keep. And in these family dynamics, it's not all good. In a lot of these family dynamics, you have a lot of competition. You have the scapegoating. You have the golden children, right? And a lot of times, individuality is squashed. This is where a lot of people in these family dynamics that are like gangs never fully realize who they are as an individual, what they're called. They're never even able to explore their passions or their desires. They're told what they have to be because they're part of this family. So these families do in fact exist. They have existed since the beginning of time, right? And it's important to understand this because prior to getting married, you have to do some due diligence to understand the person and the family that they come from. And don't fall for the whole, oh, wow, their mom is everything. Their dad is everything. They're so family oriented. Okay, yeah, right. They're family oriented. Just make sure it's not because they have to be, because it's a gang, it's a cult, because there's a fear of letting go. All right. This has been around since the beginning of time. There's a story in the ancient literature of the Bible, story of Jacob. Many of you can follow along in this story. And in this story, Jacob married the 2 daughters of Laban. My lights went out. Somebody doesn't want this message out. I'm going to keep going anyways. when Jacob married the daughters of Laban, what happened? Jacob was treated like an outsider. He was mistreated. He was treated poorly and unfairly. And at the end of the story, he left with his wives, the daughters of Laban, and his children and his flocks. And Laban did what? Chased him. Chased him down for what? To kill him. What was his reason? Anybody know? He said, I came to kill you and to take my daughters back. And the children that are with you, they're mine too. The animals, it's all mine. This is the inherent narcissistic nature of these cult-like families, gang-like families. A lot of these family dynamics, if you get involved with them, they may love bomb you at first. Yes, love bombing is not just limited to romantic narcissistic abuse. Love bombing can be done by these gang types of families. They can love bomb you in the beginning. Welcome to the family. You're a part of our family, acting like everything's good. At the same time, simultaneously, they'll be jumping you in like any gang, poking you, prodding you, trying to beat you down mentally and emotionally. Why? So you can fit into where they want you in their family. Okay? And when you try to leave, they're going to jump you out. Now, they may not jump you out physically, but once again, mentally and emotionally, they can terrorize you and your family, your new family, you and your wife, right? You're going to be cut out of the will. You're not going to make it on your own. On and on and on. Why are they doing all this again? Why are they making things so difficult for you? Because they cannot let control. They cannot let go of control, right? They believe you're a part of their gang. Okay, so understand that you're up against something that has existed since the beginning of time. It's not new. You're not alone. But we do need to talk about number 2, the second part of this message, which is understanding what marriage is. You see, your marriage is supposed to stand against that. What is marriage? Marriage is a unification. Now, one of the very first instructions since the beginning of time, given by God, for those of you who believe in God, is this. Therefore, a man and a woman must what? Leave thy mother and thy father and become united to a brand new partner, and the two become one. This is where we get unification from. Marriage is a symbol of this unification. When you say, I do, you're saying, I want to be unified, meaning I'm ready to create a brand new family, which means you have to leave the family that you came from, something that a gang or cultish family has a hard time accepting, right? And it does not matter if you are from a family that's royal or a family that's created a farm, right? For control. Look at what Prince Harry, Meghan Markle did. Now, a lot of you might be watching this and you're not going to agree with what I say. You're going to say, Meghan Markle's a narcissist and she took Harry away. Nonsense. Harry's a grown man. He's served in the military. He's smart. He's not going to let some woman lead him away from his family. No. He wanted out. He did not want to be a part of that royal family. And now he had his own reasons. I'm not going to get into the mindset of Harry. If you want to know, go read his book. He laid it out there for you. But I can tell you that he understands what it is to start a new family. And he chose, when he said, I do, he chose to start a new family. He chose to do what biblically is written. Therefore, man must leave thy mother and thy father and become united to a brand new partner. Marriage is about understanding that it's you and this unified partner against the world. You're choosing a partner that you're going to stand and face the world with. And a lot of times, standing and facing the world means you have to stand up against your family of origin first, especially if they are a narcissistic gang of a family or a cult dynamic, right? This is what marriage is. Now, when you do decide to get married, when you say, I do, it's important to understand that you're taking a risk. You're saying that by becoming a new family, we're going to risk accepting what God has for us as a new family, stepping away from what our lineage or our family of origin had for us. So you risk separating yourself from their will, leaving their farm, leaving the royal status, whatever it might be. That's the risk. But listen, God has done great things throughout the ancient biblical text. God has done great things with people who have chosen to walk away from gangs, from a cult, from a family of origin. God does great things with people who are willing to walk away from all of that. This is why God instructs it. Therefore, man and woman must leave. Why? God says, so that I can do something with you. If you stay with the family that you came from, you'll only have what they have. If you want that, if you want their farm, their royal status, then by all means stay and take whatever position they squash you in. But if you want to know what I can do, says the Lord, then you must leave them. Become a brand new family. All right? Your premarital counselors won't tell you this. And it's important that you understand this going into marriage because you have to sort this out. You have to be mentally prepared. Part of premarital counseling should include, are you ready to leave your family of origin? Are you ready to face them down? If they're controlling, if they're a gang, are you ready to be jumped out? Are you ready to maybe even be enemies with them? Because sometimes this is what happens when you leave a family of origin who's narcissistic, who's cultish, who's gang-like, who believes that blood is thicker than water, on and on and on. Okay? You have to leave and break free from that selfish, chained-up dynamic. So this is what marriage is. And many of you think that marriage is just about, finding someone and living happily ever after and joining their family. Don't make the same mistake I did. I made that mistake. Right? I'm going to be a part of this big family, blah, blah. No. It doesn't work like that. If you're going to join another family, then you're going to be in whatever position they put you in. This is why it's important that you reject that position, especially if it's a low, squashed down position, and you accept what God has for you and for your marriage, starting something brand new. So understand what marriage is before you say I do. Does this make sense? Am I talking to somebody? Raise your hand right now. Leave a comment down below if I'm talking to you and you didn't quite understand what marriage is, or you're thinking about marriage again. Marriage is not just something fun to do, folks. It's not. Marriage is a risk. It's a step. It's a separation of one family to create a brand new family, which means you might have to stand against a narcissistic gang if that's the family that one of y'all have come from. Okay? Now, what do you do? Those of you who've been married 10, 15, 20 years, and you're haunted, dealing with narcissistic in-laws, siblings that don't want to let you go, well, listen, you can't do anything about them. But one of the worst things you can do is start to develop an envy, right? Perhaps your spouse or you, right, wants to stay involved or stay connected. Well, first and foremost, understand this, that as human beings, this is another reason why you must separate and become unified with your new spouse. We're only capable of offering so much of our time, energy, and effort. So if you're giving your family of origin this much of your effort, well, you're only left with so much for your spouse. And that's not cool. Your spouse deserves the best of you. And if you're not willing to give the best of you, or you're not receiving the best of them because they're still involved with their family of origin, you need to think about that. But one of the things that I come across is people who are happy in their marriage, kind of, but jealous and envious of the relationship that exists with the families of origin, the in-laws. It can create some envy and jealousy. Now, whenever I'm up against this, whenever I coach somebody through this, I always ask, okay, how's your marriage? Yeah, I get it. You're dealing with narcissistic in-laws, fine. They're mean, they're nasty, they demand time, this and that, but how's your marriage? Remember I said we're going to talk about your marriage because your marriage is part of the problem. If you've been married 15, 20 years, but you cannot stop thinking about how much you hate the in-laws because of how narcissistic and controlling and demanding they are, then it's time to look at the issues within your marriage. Perhaps your marriage is not everything that it should be. And by the way, when I say everything it should be, you're not taking advantage of what marriage really is for. You see, you have power over the families of origin when it comes to your marriage, because you automatically are in a situation where you can explore more and do more and be more than the families of origin. If you are in a marriage and the best you got, when I'm coaching people, for example, I talked to a woman last week and she was telling me how much her in-laws are narcissistic and this and that, and she can't stop thinking about it. Whoa, tell me about your marriage. What do y'all do? When's the last time you made love? When's the last time you had sex? She goes, well, we have more of a mental and a talking connection. I said, well, that's a waste of a marriage right there. Now, don't get me wrong. Talking and connecting is good in that way. However, there's nothing special about that, really. I told her, I said, your husband can talk with his family. So what you're telling me is that you're in a marriage where you're not expressing yourself in any way that separates you or is different or is special. So no wonder you're jealous. All you're doing is talking. Well, he can go talk to his mom. Now, but watch this. This is what I told her. You as a woman, I said, listen, you get to rip your clothes off. Say, get in there and get in the bed. I'm going to do stuff to you that nobody else in your family could even come close to. You start exploring. I'm not trying to be crude here, but let's be real. We're adults. You start exploring the things that your spouse's family can't touch. Suddenly it's going to fill you with more confidence. Because no matter what the narcissistic mother-in-law, father, brother, and sister, no matter what they say or do or talk about how, oh, blood is thicker than water and this is our family, this and that, you get to walk tall inside knowing none of y'all come close to what I do. Let them talk. Let them have a relationship of their talking and their connecting in that way. Because you and your husband, you and your wife are supposed to have a connection that is deeper, more intimate, more affectionate, exploring things that never existed in that family dynamic. Okay? So fix your marriage. This is what I'm trying to tell you. If you're not making love, you're not having sex, you're not planning your children's future, you're not traveling, you're not enjoying each other, you're not being fruitful and productive in your marriage, then you're going to be filled with envy and strife over the in-laws. Because your marriage has nothing special, has nothing that separates it. In fact, you might just be living together feeling like brother and sister. And that's why you're upset. And that's why you're upset and envious and jealous that he's still connecting or she's still connecting with the in-laws. Because you realize deep down that there's nothing different about your marriage. You're not enjoying and utilizing and taking advantage of what marriage is all about. So fix your marriage, okay? If you fix your marriage, you start taking advantage and in utilizing and expressing and enjoying marriage in all the ways that you should, then I promise you, the families of origin will be no threat. You can let them talk and pretend like they're the only ones that matter. But deep inside, you know, right? No. You matter right now, sure. But when we get home, I'm number one. I have a deeper connection than you ever will. Right? And they can't take that away from you. Okay? For you husbands out there, if you're jealous or envious of the narcissistic father-in-law, brothers-in-law, whatever, then do in your marriage what you're supposed to do. Take care of your wife. Build for your wife. Bring that family together. Do what your wife's brothers and father can't do. That's what you're called to do in marriage. You resolve this, if you fix this aspect of it, they'll no longer be a problem. How else do you deal with narcissistic in-laws that won't leave you alone, right? Not only that, not only explore what you can have the opportunity to do in marriage, take full advantage of that as much as possible. Make yourselves busy. Be productive. You can be kind and courteous to the most narcissistically abusive in-laws. You can acknowledge them. Oh, hey, how's it going if they call? Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, yeah, no, we haven't visited well. Oh, we're super busy. Good talking to you. Thanks. Yeah, we'll talk to you again. Your marriage is about the productivity, the fruitfulness of your life as a married couple. Be fruitful, be busy, and be kind. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to engage in this little war. Just make yourselves busy. Make yourselves about your life. If you're going to separate yourself from your family of origin, you have to make yourself about your life. Be busy and enjoy it. If you get this down, I promise you, the envy and the strife will dissipate. If you take full advantage of what you're able to do in marriage, if you enjoy yourself in marriage, it won't matter what the narcissistic in-laws are saying. It really won't. You can even let them pretend that their family's all that matter and blah, blah, blah. Because you're going to know. You're going to know what you can't wait to get home to. What you can't wait to do, your next trip that you're planning as a couple, the next date you're going on and on and on. Does this make sense to you? So many of you right now who have been married 15, 20 years, you're still in this place of anger and bitterness and resentment over narcissistic in-laws. I challenge you. What's missing in your marriage? Fix that. Bring that back. Take full advantage of it. Listen, when I'm going to talk about affection and sex again, because this is super important. There is absolutely no reason why single people dating should be having better sex than you as a married couple. They shouldn't be. Why? I'm talking about strangers coming together who don't even really know each other and each other's bodies and what each other's likes, and they're acting like, oh, our sex is the best. I hear this all the time. I had the best sex with this narcissistic. Listen, when you're married, you should be having the best sex ever. As much of it as you should possibly even want. That's a huge part of what marriage is to explore that aspect. It should be nonstop, continuous. If it's stopped, well, you got another problem, right? You should be having the best time together. If you are, the in-laws won't matter. All right? Listen, I am here to support you. Those of you who are married, dealing with narcissistic in-laws, down in the description box. Schedule some one-on-one time with me. Again, I do talk to married couples. I'd love to be able to help you and guide you through dealing with narcissistic in-laws. Separate yourself and enjoy your marriage. Utilize your marriage, your unification for what it's intended for. Make the most of it. This is your life together. And it's you against the world. All right? Head on down there, schedule some time with me, and I'll be back with more videos for you right here on the Royal We. Now, before I go, I do want to let you know, once again, that I have appointments available, right? So take that. Also, check out one of these videos. These videos are recommended to you by the YouTube algorithm. So check these out, and I'll be back with more videos for you right here on the Royal We. All right.